Okay, so you lost your bank account after sending your coupon as an assignment to your customer account at your bank. Okay, we're going to talk about that. This is the CFPB's website. Okay, if you would like to file a complaint with the CFPB, you can do so through their website or you can send a letter. I have done both. So I'm going to show you a letter that you can use. I'm going to explain the letter to you, and then I'm going to show you how to use the CFPB's website to file a complaint if your account was terminated due to you sending your coupon to your bank to assign those credits to your account, so that that assignment would create a debit on your utility account or your credit card account or your mortgage account. It does not matter which of those coupon statements you sent into the bank. My hope is that while reading this letter, you gain more knowledge and understanding about your account and the bank's business operations. You need to understand that these two accounts are separate. And the letter is going to make some things, I'm hoping that it does. The letter will make things clear for you to understand why I say that, hey, you guys, the bank should not be doing that. The bank closed your account. Did you use deductive reasoning? Did you ask why? Or did you just come to me and begin complaining? Okay. A lot of you didn't ask why. You just came to me to begin complaining. Now, if the bank can just close your account without talking to you, okay, without trying to contact you, then you can go and file a complaint against the bank without talking to the bank. All right, so the letter says, Dear Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, I hope this correspondence finds you well. I am writing to formally lodge a complaint against ABC Credit Union, concerning the abrupt termination of my personal account without prior notification or justification, as well as their obstruction of lawful credit transfers. Okay. Obviously, you would have to modify this letter. The name of your bank is not ABC Credit Union. That is an example. If your bank is Chase Bank, if your bank is Wells Fargo, okay, you're going to modify that paragraph to correctly identify the name of the bank or financial institution you have a personal account with, okay? My account particulars are as follows, okay? You're going to give the CFPB, the account holder is Jane M. Doe. For me, it would be Christina M. Wilson. For you, it could be whatever your name is, okay? Also, you want to use the name that is written on that account, okay? So take a look at maybe one of your old bank statements and just use that name. You don't have to write it in all capital letters. You don't have to do any of those things. Just write the name, type the name as it is written on your bank statements, okay? Next, you want to enter the account number, okay? Enter the account number. The letter reads, specify the date that they terminated your account. Okay, so on this date, you have to enter the date that they closed or terminated your account. My personal account with ABC Credit Union, remember you have to change this. This has to be modified, okay? Make sure you read every portion, every word, every letter within this correspondence, okay? Make sure you read everything within this letter. All right, so on specific date, my personal account with ABC Credit Union was unilaterally terminated without any prior notice or explanation. Unilateral means the bank made a executive decision, okay? Another thing that I kind of have to go over, you guys, are the three branches of government and how they work so that you understand how to govern your financial accounts based on the three levels of government, because you are the government and you must know that some actions that, when taken against you, cannot be taken because it does not separate the powers, meaning you cannot assign, you cannot write me a ticket and then collect the payment for it. You understand how those two things, you can't decide that I've committed a crime unilaterally and then unilaterally force me to pay a judgment to you. You understand what I'm trying to get at? I'm sorry I'm not a teacher, that I don't have a better means of like explaining that the separation of powers and why that is important in the course of you managing your finances. Okay. So I kind of got off track there a little bit, but I want to get back to the letter. Okay. So on specific date, my personal account with ABC Credit Union was unilaterally terminated without any prior notice or explanation. Despite multiple attempts to obtain clarification from the credit union, I have not received a satisfactory response. This has caused significant distress and uncertainty regarding my financial standing and stability at ABC Credit Union. Okay. I want you to focus particularly on the language that I use. Okay. Notice that I don't say, um, this has caused significant distress and uncertainty regarding my financial standing and stability with ABC Credit Union, okay? Because with implies that we're in some sort of partnership, okay? That we're in some sort of agreement with each other, and no such contract exists, okay? There is no contract between myself and ABC Credit Union, okay? And in the verbiage that I use, I say I'm kind of uncertain regarding my financial standing and stability at ABC Credit Union. Okay, I have an account at this credit union, but I do not have an account with this credit union, such as like, I want the language to not imply that there is some sort of joint ownership between myself and ABC credit union. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so the next paragraph, okay, moving on. And also, you know that I wrote this, okay? I wrote this myself. So I did not get this from anyone. These are my thoughts, these are my words, okay? So no copying and pasting here. I did not go to Patrick, any of Patrick's documents, or copy and paste, but I do carry Patrick's understanding, and I promise, um, I mean, the value of that man's teachings. I cannot state or express enough how powerful Patrick's teachings are and how he's gotten me to the point of understanding that I'm at now. Okay. Additionally, I attempted to transfer funds from one of my other accounts to my personal account at ABC Credit Union. However, I face active obstruction from ABC Credit Union, which seems to be preventing clients from conducting any transactions other than those that benefit ABC Credit Union, such as extending credit to them or dealing with their approved banks. Okay, so what I'm saying, all right, if you guys have been doing this for some time, some of you guys have an idea of what fractional reserve banking is. If you have an idea of what fractional reserve banking is, then you understand that anytime you deposit funds, I don't care if it's a check that you got from your bank, okay? Not a check that you got from your bank, I'm sorry, I misspoke. If it is a check you got from your job, right? So, like if your check pays you for your labor and then you go and deposit those funds into your account, that is fractional reserve banking. So with fractional reserve banking, the last that I knew of it, The bank can lend out 90% of your funds, okay? So some of you guys, like for me, I have an account with Navy Federal, okay? And so the interest rate on the accounts are like 1%. Okay, these interest rates that the banks pay to the account holders. But if you go and look at Navy Federal's products and services, okay, like their mortgage rates, look at their auto loan rates, okay, those rates are significantly higher than the 1% that they pay their clients. You understand? So, in this paragraph, what I'm saying is that ABC Bank, who is separate, I do not have an agreement with ABC Bank. We are not incorporated, okay? We are not joint, okay? That arrangement does not exist between ABC Credit Union and me. All right. However, I do understand that it is a common business practice for banks to practice fractional reserve banking. Therefore, the banks are borrowing from their customers, okay? They are borrowing, and some of the customers are even customers that use the bank's products and services, such as mortgages or auto loans, okay? And so, if you understand what I'm saying, if you have an account at Navy Federal Credit Union and Navy Federal is paying you like 1% annually, and then you say, you know what, I need a car. Then you go to Navy Federal to say, hey, I would like to apply for a loan. And then Navy Federal is like, okay, we'll approve a loan for 13%. So the bank is making a 12% profit from the and pays you the 1%, so they get to keep 12% of your money, and then they only give you 1%. Now, that type of arrangement between the banks and their personal customers, okay, their private clients, it creates a conflict of interest, okay? So instead of you protecting my account, instead of you doing what's in the best interest of me, you are now acting in the best interest of the bank. Okay? That is what's going on. And so, so long as the bank continues to act in its own best interest, ignoring its clients, ignoring its creditors, customer is nothing but a glorified um, it's a glorified word for a creditor. Customer, when you see consumer creditor, creditor protection bureau, okay? And something else that you have to consider is that I know that these enforcement agencies say that, hey, you have to report these infractions to regulatory bodies, but the regulatory body is you. Do you understand? The regulatory, it has to be you. If you cannot identify deceptive practices within your own financial experiences, your financial dealings with these corporations, okay, then everybody just walks around complaining that, oh, this corporation's their service is shit, but you stay there, you don't complain about it, and if you do complain about it, you're unsure how to complain about it. You don't know how to structure the complaint. What exactly are you complaining about? And the reason that you can't complain is because you do not understand your relationship with these corporations, institutions, organizations, whatever they want to call themselves. You do not understand your relationship with them. And because of it, okay, just like with the IRS, you think the IRS has authority that it does not have. And so when it begins to abuse you, when they are now saying that, hey, we're about to investigate you, okay, you don't know how to say that you should not be doing this because you do not understand your relationship with the IRS. So long as that lack of knowledge within you exists, the corporation continues to hold its leverage. Okay? It's simple to understand. It's very simple. I'm going to continue to say that until you believe it. It's simple. I'm going to say it until you believe it. You want this to be complicated in your mind. It is not. It is not complicated. Okay? Next. Okay, so we got through, all right, the second paragraph where we talked about that ABC credit union, that we are alluding that there is a conflict of interest here. Okay, that I am attempting to transfer my credits from one of my other accounts to this account. Okay, and I believe that the way that ABC Credit Union is looking at this transfer is that if they can't use these funds, if I'm not lending to them, then they don't allow it. Okay? The ABC Credit Union wants me in a perpetual state of lending to them. And that is not why my account exists. Okay, my account does not exist to be a lender, okay, to ABC Credit Union. That's not why I'm here. Okay? Now, the next, let me see, where am I? Okay, next paragraph. All right. Furthermore, I am increasingly concerned that ABC Credit Union may be unable to meet its obligations to depositors or creditors. Okay, so it does not matter which of these terms they want to call you by. If they want to call you a depositor means a creditor. They want to call you a customer means a creditor. If they want to call you a consumer means a creditor. Okay, so, in this paragraph, remember I told you anytime you're making these letters, you want to think this through, okay? Now, we are adding I don't want to call these bluffs. I don't want to say it's a bluff. Hopefully, if they continue with this behavior, meaning if you don't get the resolution that you're looking for through these enforcement agencies, you're going to have to drag these people into court. That is a real possibility. If you are not prepared to take on that responsibility, don't do this. Do not do any of this. Don't do it if you are not prepared to see this all the way through, because I'm telling you, this is demanding. Okay, it's going to demand your attention. That's what a regulatory body does. You don't just spend money out of your account. This is one of the things that I was explaining to some individuals when I was having a Zoom meeting. And I'm sorry, don't lose your train of thought while I'm giving you I'm giving you my testimony, okay? So don't lose your train of thought. But in one of the Zoom meetings that um, we were having, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can. I'm going to save that. I'm going to wait. I'm going to save that testimony because I want to continue forward. And then I have one other thing that I want to show you before I give you this testimony, okay? Let's get back to the letter. We're going to talk about insolvency, okay? We're going to bring up the fact if a bank is unable to meet its depositors' demands, okay? Meaning, on paper, the bank does not want to exceed, okay, their ability, how much can they can lend, okay, with their whole fractional reserve banking scheme. The more money into your account means the more that they can lend. However, okay, if you have thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands, okay, which can happen over the course of a few years. If these transfers, these credit transfers that you're moving from your mortgage account, that you're moving from your utility account, that you're moving out of your auto loan account, if you start to move those funds now from those accounts into your bank account, now this means that you would go to the bank to request more cash. Okay. You won't purchase things on credit anymore. You would start to use cash. Now, remember, fractional reserve banking is the minimum amount that the bank must hold within their institution to meet depositor demands. Okay. So if a bank becomes unable to meet its demands, its depositor demands, this constitutes bank failure. Bank failure means insolvency. You have questions about the solvency of this bank. In reality, this bank is insolvent. You must know that when approaching. If your business model is centered around being a middleman. Okay, which what the banks are. The banks are the middlemen between us who were supposed to be the entities that lent the money. Okay, but the personal accounts. Most individuals that have personal accounts have no idea how the account operates, and that is perfect. That is perfect for exploitation. You understand? This is perfect that you don't understand anything. You don't understand any of the numbers. You don't understand any of the words. You don't understand what any of this means. You just want to open an account as quickly as possible so that your paycheck can be deposited into this account, okay, and that you can pay a light bill or a utility bill or a phone bill. That's about the extent of your knowledge of that account. And that account does a little bit more than what you have been led to believe. Okay. And so if the uh, if individuals with personal accounts began to understand that now I can transfer my credits from my utility account, my mortgage account, my credit card account, okay? This increases the value of your personal account. This means that now you can go if you need to go into a bank, okay? If 98% of if you owned a bank and 98% of the individuals are, and they tell you the average person makes about what, 40 grand, 50 grand a year. Okay. And you kind of structure your solvency around those numbers. You know that the average person only has about makes about 50 grand a year. And so you, with the cost of living, with the cost of food, clothing, shelter, heat, gas, water, whatever you need, that 50,000 is usually eaten up as soon as you get it into the account, okay? It's eaten up by the bills. But what happens when you figure out that, okay, I'm not supposed to be paying from my employment wages. Okay, I don't want to call it wages, but I don't want to pay from my, Patrick calls it labor payments, and I agree with him on that. That was a good way to refer to the money that you receive from your labor. Okay. I don't have to use my labor payments to pay my utility account. I could just transfer that account balance out of the utility account and into my bank account. If you start to do this, now what will happen with depositors is that there would be a greater demand for cash, okay? So when now the individuals that hold personal accounts, okay, if they start to go into the bank and say, hey, I need money, the mortgage accounts is doing great, my auto loan account is doing great, okay, my accounts are just generating money. Now you have more money to withdraw. Do you understand how threatening that is to the bank? Because if you go to the bank, this is what a run on the bank is. If you go to the bank, okay, now all these individuals who have finally decided to take charge of their finances, okay, now they're all at the bank saying, "Hey, I need 50,000, I need 60,000, I need 20,000, I need 10,000, I need 15,000," because now your accounts, you are beginning to transfer your credits between your accounts, and that is increasing your account balance with the bank. If the bank is unable to meet those withdrawals, okay, once the customers, the clients, the creditors, if the creditors are coming in and asking the bank to, "I need cash," I mean, like, what are you doing? And the bank can't provide that cash, this is an indicator of insolvency. Okay, and now the bank has to be moved into bankruptcy and liquidated to pay creditors, which would be you if you are smart to say something, to say, "Hey, I'm a creditor to this bank. Hey, um that bank practice fractional reserve banking, and so yeah, I know that my account balance says that I only got $10 in it, okay, but there is a second set of books, okay, because this bank engages in double entry bookkeeping, okay, so there are a second set of books that unfortunately I cannot see, but this bank has a detailed record of its lending behaviors and practices, okay. And so you add up that amount that the bank has borrowed from all of its clients, and you pay a percentage back to everyone. Okay. And that's what would happen in bankruptcy. But as I tried to explain to you guys, when you were not understanding, like, why won't the bank honor, why won't they honor my transfer? Okay. So the very first thing I wanted you to do was to send it to the bank. Okay. To, let's see if the bank, some banks have honored some individuals' coupons. Not most, though. It has only been a few individuals that got through. The vast majority did not. Okay. And this is a consensus amongst the banks. They understand, like, how do you keep a hand on the money? Well, you have to keep the people where they are. The people that you're exploiting, if they get smarter, okay, if they start to ask questions, okay, if they begin to understand their financial relationship with this bank, this can be the end of it. Okay. And so they are trying to survive, but they are acting. Oh man, this is another one. I don't even want to, I'm not going to say it because I'm going to divert you away from this letter. Okay. Okay, so back to the letter. Additionally, I attempted to transfer funds from one of my other accounts to my personal account at ABC Credit Union. However, I face active obstruction from ABC Credit Union, which seems to be preventing clients from conducting any transactions other than those that benefit ABC Credit Union, such as extending credit to them or dealing with their approved banks. I believed my account was personal, but now I'm unsure about its nature at ABC Credit Union. This confusion has raised serious concerns about the management and security of my funds. Furthermore, I am increasingly concerned that ABC Credit Union may be unable to meet its obligations to depositors or creditors. Okay, here I'm alluding to the idea, okay, that insolvency, it could be looming depending on what decision y'all make in this goddamn CFPB complaint. You might be bankrupt depending on what decision you make, okay? You might not be able to identify it as such, but this is a threat that I hope some of y'all go through with. If you're not going to go through with it, take it out the letter. You understand? Okay? The value of a bank account is not solely reflected by the current balance. Is that I just told you that. Even if I have $10 in my account and the bank is like, "Oh, well, solvency is not a problem for us because all she got is $10." No, 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 no. Okay, that $10 I got in my bank account is not the only factor that is taken into consideration when evaluating the value of an account. Okay, when assessing the value of an account, it is not only the account balance. Okay, it can also include other factors such as accrued interest, pending transactions, any investments linked to the account, or profit generating schemes such as fractional reserve banking. Okay, this fractional reserve banking has been left unregulated. You understand? We are the regulatory bodies, but all we do is complain. Oh, Chase is such a shitty bank, and then you turn around and go pay them 20% for an auto loan. Shut your damn mouth. Talking about how much you hate a particular corporation or a particular business, and yet you continue to transact with it. Some of you need to take responsibility and get out of this whole I'm gonna fall to the floor and cry and complain. That shit not gonna get you anywhere. I promise. It's not gonna get you anywhere. All right. So in that paragraph, we are alluding that we are concerned of insolvency. Okay. We are concerned of it. Now, do we threaten to be the ones that bring them into insolvency? No, we don't. We just talk about it. That we know that your fractional reserve banking, okay, is it has grown to a point to where you know good and well you may not have enough cash on hand to pay all of these depositors, especially if you guys start to transfer credit. Some of these mortgages, $1,500, $2,000, $4,000 mortgages. Can you imagine what your account balance would be by the end of the year? And then if you wanted cash for something, I don't care what it was. I don't care. You wanted to take your family out on a cruise, you wanted to go, whatever it was, the bank would have to provide that cash to you. And if they do not have your money, the FDIC is going to swoop in and move them into bankruptcy so they could start liquidating all those nice buildings, all of those cute computers, okay, all those nice comfy chairs, okay, all of that shit is getting sold to pay the depositors. You understand? Okay, I have added another level of uh I call it protection for you guys, okay? Where I sat down and I thought about what the bank said to me when I went to them and I said, "Why did you do this?" Now, mind you, this was like a year ago, y'all. This was like a year ago when I lost my account, okay? So I didn't have as much understanding then as I do now. I knew that it was wrong, but I don't really know how to say that you're wrong. I don't other than saying you're wrong, but there is I need to have more context. I need to have a better understanding of how you are wrong. And I set out on a mission. I'm going to figure this thing out. And I've I got it in the bag. Okay. Now, the the bank is going to bring up uh this was one of the arguments that the bank brought against me that I didn't know how to defeat. Okay, because I knew what unilateral, I knew what a unilateral contract was, but I did not tie this unilateral contract to service agreements. Okay, I didn't fully understand it. And so as a result, the bank was like, oh, but you signed this service agreement stating that you would do A, B, C, and D, and you violated those service agreements. And then they were entering into the complaint, right? They were entering that, oh, this is what she sent us. And they were entering copies of my shit. Do y'all hear me? They were entering copies. Okay, I'm sorry, I get angry. Y'all hear my other personality kind of jumping out, okay? But I was so pissed and like embarrassed, okay? Because like you are using my shit against me, okay? This service agreement is unilateral, meaning I'm the only person that signed it. And since there is no consensual agreement between me and ABC Corporation, because if there were, then why is ABC Credit Union's signature not on this service agreement? So that we, I would agree with you that we are in an agreement with each other. But ain't no fucking agreement here between me and this bank. There is no agreement between us. This is unilateral, okay? This is the bank saying, hey, these are guidelines you may choose to follow. I didn't understand that. Okay, so let's say if I wanted to use my personal account, could my account is personal with the bank, but let's say I wanted to use it for business. Okay, let's say I wanted to transact in foreign currency exchange markets, which is exactly what we have out in commerce right now. What if I wanted to do business telling people, hey, you got a check from Adrian Peterson, Private Bank ENT. Okay, write out your check. Go ahead and bring it to me. I'll exchange it for you off my account. Okay, you pay me $15 for my bank fee. Okay, these are my fees. Okay, and I'll absolutely exchange your check for you, Adrian Peterson, Private Bank ENT. Do you understand? It was supposed to be us doing the business, but instead we grew more and more competent. And so the banks were like, okay, well, if you don't want to make the money, I will. Okay. So previously, ABC Credit Union has used my service agreement to restrict certain actions or limit my ability to transact on my personal account. However, since I signed this agreement on my own without any negotiation, it is neither appropriate nor legally valid for ABC Credit Union to enforce it. This behavior is misleading and it is deceptive. Okay, that is another thing. Let me see which Okay, in this second paragraph where I said that I believe my accounts, should I say were? Y'all, sometimes I type, like I have to use AI to help me. Some of y'all are using AI too, and you need to be careful because I've read some of these letters, and excuse me, you need to be careful when you are asking AI to reword a letter for you because AI will intentionally mess your stuff up, okay? And then your letter is saying things like one word can change the context. Just how I say, okay, with my account at ABC Credit Union, some of you guys' letters say, it might say, I'm not speaking on a specific letter, but some of you letters, for example, would say, my personal account with ABC Credit Union. No, I have an account with my husband. I don't have a fucking account with ABC Credit Union. Do you understand the difference? Okay. So we are talking about false advertisement. Okay. This is false advertisement. Like you got me in this fucking bank under false pretenses, and then you started to control my actions. You began to limit my account. Okay. You began to control what I can and what I cannot do. Okay, now you're able to verbalize what the fuck they're doing to you. So when you go to these enforcement agencies, you don't sound incompetent. You don't sound like you are crazy. This person, they read something somewhere and they're here now regurgitating this shit, okay, that they really don't understand. This letter is written plainly and you can clearly understand what I'm saying. But if you don't, I'm supplying you with the context. I'm giving you the context of how I mean it. Okay, you may choose to agree with my how I mean it, or you can make modifications, but you need to be somewhere along these lines. Okay, so we're talking about false advertisement, breach of trust, breach of fiduciary duty, okay? Deceptive practices, concerns of insolvency. You talking about a lot of shit in this letter. You understand? All right. Okay, so that is pretty much the end of the letter. In this next portion, the CFPB is going to ask you what is a fair resolution to this problem. Okay? They want to know, well, okay, now you came to us complaining, so what do you want? Okay, and you want to clearly articulate what you want. I can't tell you what you want. I don't live inside of your mind and in your body, okay? So I cannot tell you what you want. I don't know what you want. If you would like to modify what it is that you want, you are free to do that, okay? But listen to the resolution that I am requesting the CFPB, all right? Clear communication, that's one. ABC Credit Union should provide a detailed explanation for the termination of my account. If you were not smart enough to ask them, okay, this is tying into that deductive reasoning. I'm about to beat up on you right now, okay? And you need to ask them why. Why did you terminate my account? And I need a detailed explanation, and this shit better make sense. When you tell it to me, it had better make sense, and if it does not make sense, I'm dragging your ass into court, and you probably going to end up paying 3, 4, 5 times the value of whatever that account is that you had with them, because you want to know how much money they made off of borrowing from you. And on top of that, you want back all your deposits, and on top of that, you want 3 times in damages. You have been damaged. You are hurt. Okay? Paying me 1% back of you borrowed 90 per fucking percent money from me, and you only paid me back 1%. Are you out your mind? No, we are. They're not out their mind. They're smart. We're at our minds. Okay? So you haven't even been repaid, and you got the nerve to talk to me like you got some damn authority? Okay? ABC Credit Union should provide a detailed explanation for the termination of my account, including the specific reasons and any relevant policies or regulations that led to this decision. Okay? I want, when they start talking about policies, what pops up in your mind when they start talking about their policy? Insurance don't pop up in your mind? Insurance policies? Their policies pretty much, if we do any of this shit, we owe you money. That's what a policy is. It's the rules that's supposed to govern the corporation, and if they violate those rules, they owe somebody some money. But when they call it a policy, of course they're not gonna come out and be like, oh, this is an insurance policy. This is an insurance that we're gonna do. We're gonna uphold our fiduciary obligations to you. Okay? So you want to know, what did you rely on to make the decision that you made? You can't rely on my service agreement because that's unilateral, meaning that I'm the only person that can enforce it. So I'm confused as to where, uh, when did you decide this? I guess a better question would be, who decides this? Okay, restoration of an account. If that was an account that you really needed, okay, you really need this account, go ahead and request they restore it. If you don't want to do business with them anymore, then you would, God, sorry, you would remove this from the letter. Okay, restoration of account. If the termination was due to a misunderstanding or an error, the credit union should promptly restore my account and ensure that I can access my funds without any further issues. Okay, pretty much restore my account and stay out my business. You are not a regulatory body. You are not an executive branch. You're not a law enforcement body. So stay out of my business. I do not need your advice, okay, regarding my account. Okay, facilitation of credit transfers. The credit union should facilitate the credit transfer that I intended to make without any unnecessary obstructions, ensuring that I can manage my finances as planned. Okay? Review and rectification. ABC Credit Union should review their practices and policies to prevent similar issues in the future. This could include better communication with clients, clear advertising of account types, okay? Stop telling people that these accounts are personal just to get them to come and open an account with you, and then you start your fractional reserve banking and all of your mind games, playing these control games, okay? You got me in here under fucking false pretenses because I thought this account was personal. Okay, so quit this false advertising. You need to change your advertising to say that if you come and open an account with us, we have a right to decide what happens on that account. We have a right to approve certain transactions and to deny others. You need to clearly state that so I know what I'm getting into. You need to clearly state that in your advertising. Clearly state that we intend to practice fractional reserve banking, where we borrow 90% of the funds of your account and only give you back one, and we keep whatever the difference is. You need to clearly state that, because I need to know when signing up for your product or service that there is immediately a conflict of interest the moment I sign up. That you won't be a fiduciary to me. Instead of being a fiduciary, you're acting as a fucking beneficial owner. That's what the bank is acting as. And that is what I wanted. I wanted to include that, but I'm not, because I think it's too much in one video. The beneficial ownership, the Corporate Transparency Act. Okay, regulatory oversight. Okay, remember, despite what they tell you, you are the regulatory body. You are the one that is initiating these financial accounts. Okay, so who the hell is going to pound the alarm if some foul play is at hand? Who's going to pound the alarm, okay, if some corruption is taking place? Okay, it would have to be you. So the regulatory bodies, reasonably, when you think about it, is you. Okay, and then they're doing all of these transactions behind your personal identity. Government agencies, because you're the government, okay? Government agencies cannot interfere with private contracts. They can't. Or a contract, even though you don't have let me I want to clean that up a little bit, because I think that statement causes confusion. Even though you don't have a contract with the bank, contracts can be verbal, okay, implied. They can be on paper, okay? These are different types of contracts, okay? So, for example, with your utility account, if your utility company is monetizing your bill, meaning they're taking a bunch of your information, they're inserting it into your bill in such an ambiguous way to lead you to believe that a debt is owed to the utility company, okay? the them doing that and you paying them is implied. It is an implied. No, you don't have anything in writing saying that you're required to do this, that you're required to pay or else. Why did the utility company tell you that they would be giving your information out to third parties in order to hurt you, in order to turn your lights out, in order to turn your water out? Was that information disclosed to you? Do you understand? That information was not disclosed to you, that this was the type of business that the utility company did with its clients, with people that lends to them. So when you reach in your pocket and you pay, even if they have it where, okay, they're doing this whole third party communication, where I told y'all know that utility company is acting on your behalf. When did you grant it the authority? When did you say that here's a power of attorney. Here, you can act on my behalf. Here, you can tell the local delivery company to turn my lights out if I don't pay you. When was that shit disclosed to you? Never. It wasn't. That's what makes it deceptive. That's what make this advertisement is false. And you are not what you're charading yourself around out in commerce to be. And you need to be closed. Okay? Regulatory oversight. The CFPB should investigate to make sure ABC Credit Union is following all laws and regulations. If they find any violations, they should take appropriate action. Please also refer this complaint to other relevant enforcement agencies, okay? So FBI, it's a bunch of them that needs to be contacted. Okay, make the servants work. Make the servants work. Okay, send this complaint. It's a well-constructed complaint. If you think it could be better, modify it. Okay. Adjustment of account algorithm. This is important. Okay. Because some of you guys, if you could not get the bank to accept it when you sent it, which is why I told you to mail it, go ahead and mail it first. If you can't get them to accept it in mail, all you were doing was sending it to an employee. The employee looks at it. What's the amount? Okay, the amount is this amount. Okay, we're going to deposit this amount into your account. We're going to take a copy of this coupon and then we're going to mail it back to that address on the coupon. You see where it says send payment? The payment was made. You don't understand what payment means. The payment was made. Once the bank does this adjustment for you, payment has been, you got paid. You understand? Okay. And so the bank would then send, they take just a copy, y'all. They take a copy of the instrument front and back, and then they send it to the other. They send it to your utility company or your mortgage company or they send it, okay, they will send a copy saying, hey, you need to adjust the account for this balance, okay, because these funds have been transferred. When you're doing transfers, that's what's going on. That's why you have to wait 3 days, 4 days, depending on the amount until the bank is done facilitating that transfer. That's what they're doing. So when they tell you that, oh, we don't accept this, they're full of it. And you have to know it. Okay? Adjustment of the account algorithm. So if you had an issue when you mailed it, you're more than likely going to experience issues when you try to do a mobile deposit. I can guarantee that they have all types of algorithms on your account restricting it from processing these coupons. Okay, if it's not a check from my friend Wells Fargo, if it ain't a check from my buddy Chase Bank, if it's not from some company that I'm cool with, then you can't transfer these credits here. You can't do that here. If it's not one of my friends. Okay, that's an algorithm that's been programmed to decide that. You want an adjustment of that algorithm. Okay, ABC Credit Union should address. I hate when I do that. ABC Credit Union should adjust the algorithm associated with my account with the assistance of the IT department if necessary to enable the use of features such as mobile deposit, allowing me to move my funds without undue intrusion or obstruction by ABC Credit Union. Isn't that how they advertise the mobile deposit? And then when you try to use the mobile deposit, we don't accept that. It's not for you to accept. It's for my account. It's not for you to accept. Navy Federal can decide what types of currency that they accept. They can decide that they only accept cash, but you can't decide that for me and my account. You cannot. You can't decide that. Okay? You can't decide that for my account. And then if you can decide that, is this account really personal? It's not. You're treating it as some sort of business account, and you're transacting behind my identity because this personal account is lending to you. You understand? And because it's a personal account, because you're technically a private person, nobody can question you about that. Nobody. Not a soul on earth can break that. If you believe that that is the relationship you have with the bank, no one can break that belief but you. Okay? So you're asking the bank that if you got some kind of funny ass algorithm assigned to my account, you need to do something. You need to fix it. Okay? Because your advertisement said that I can transfer funds or deposit funds mobile. And when I tried to do it, you stopped me from doing it. Then this is false advertisement. This mobile deposit does not work the way that you advertised it. And this is your advertisement, not mine. I don't advertise that. For my account, mobile deposit will process whatever credit, what I want to call it, whatever instrument I use to transfer my funds, to transfer my credits. This mobile deposit app accepts it. As long as I verify my identity and that it's me facilitating this, the bank don't have no other questions further than that. That is the extent of their fiduciary responsibility. That's it. Oh, Christina, was that you facilitating that transfer between you and your utility company? Yeah, that was me. Navy Federal. Okay, good. We just wanted to be sure nothing funny was going on. That's how the fuck they should be talking to you. Like you the goddamn king or queen of Samunda. You the king or queen around here. Zamunda was if y'all seen Coming to America, it's one of my favorite movies. Okay? They're supposed to treat you like that, like you are fucking royalty. But you have to command it. Okay? I respectfully request your assistance in conducting a thorough investigation into this matter and ensuring that ABC Credit Union provides a clear and legitimate rationale for their actions. Your intervention is essential in resolving this issue and safeguarding consumers from unjust practices. This is an unjust practice. Okay? That is the end of the letter. Now, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to because I feel like you can do this on your own. You can go to the CFPB. Okay, I've given an example template. You don't have to use what I have word for word. You can modify it. You can change it to say something similar. Don't get too far away, straight too far away from the letter. Okay, but you should be able to go over to the CFPB and file a claim. I know you're not handicapped, and I'm starting to feel like some of y'all are handicapped as babies. Okay, I need my hand held. I need you to walk. Yeah, I know only $10 for $10 a month. Okay, girl, hold my hand, wipe my nose, wipe my ass. Okay, every time I get a letter, respond for me. Okay, call the bank for me. Upload this for me. Upload that for me. And I'm like, oh my god. I totally understand when Patrick has some point. Patrick Devine, for those who may not know, the individual where I learned a lot, 99% of what I know, I learned from Patrick. Okay, that 1% was me deciding to go off and research based upon the foundation that he had given, but he was so instrumental to a large portion of my understanding. Okay. So Patrick Devine, he would get so upset with people and he would just start to curse them, y'all. I would feel bad sometimes, like, oh, I wish he was a bit more understand. I think that's the woman. I think that's the feminine nature within me, like wanting that. But men are different in that regard. You know what I mean? And like he kind of reminds me of my granddad. My granddad was like a no nonsense type of guy. Like you knew exactly what you were getting. And if you were saying like a bunch of shit that he deemed was stupid, oh, you would know it. Okay. And so Patrick was like that. And I really didn't understand. And I was like, I wish that, he would be more understanding, but now I get it. I totally, holy crap, I get it. It can be overwhelming. It can, you know? Okay. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through if you're going to do the CFPB online, what you need to do. The CFPB complaint online, what you need to do. First, you need to create an account with the CFPB. Okay? Create an account with the CFPB. It asks, are you ready to begin? Okay? Start a new complaint. Oh, man. What the hey? Already submitted a complaint. Okay, I had to fix it. All right. So, submit a complaint. Okay? Here, it has a bunch of different areas. Okay? Was it a checking or savings account? Was it a credit card? Was it credit reporting or other personal consumer reports? Okay? Those are for Experian, Equifax, okay? Debt collection. Everybody is a debt collector. Anybody that calls you asking you about money is a debt collector. Debt or credit management. Third party service you use to modify credit terms or avoid foreclosure, okay? Money transfer, virtual currency, or money service, okay? They pretty much have just about every type of transaction you can think of covered, okay? People that are dealing with foreclosures, evictions, debt collection is where you go. Debt collection or credit management, and you start talking identity theft. You start talking identity theft. That's the unfair damn practice. That's the unfair business practice. You monetizing my identity and my information against me and then sharing it with your fucking friends. Okay? So you can come here and file. You don't have to wait for me. You could file it right here. And what the CFPB does is that they monitor, like based on what you say. Okay, they'll read the complaint, and based on they'll send the complaint to the company. They say the company has a right to respond. Okay, and depending on what the company says, you'll have a back and forth with the company. Now, with this letter, I shut down a bunch of avenues of which they will try to go. How do I know? Because I've done it before. I've complained about the banks, but I did not know how to complain. And they kept coming back saying, oh, um, Christina was not following our business practice as outlined, not business practice. I'm just like, I'm is the word improvising? I'm a bit tired, y'all. I'm paraphrasing. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm paraphrasing, okay, what it said. And like, oh, she's dishonoring her service agreement, and we have an obligation, okay, to protect our clients. And this was your way of protecting me by closing my shit down. And I didn't know really to raise the fact that I've been lending to this bank for the last 6 years. So how much do you think they owe me? How much profit do you think they made off of fractional reserve banking? And then you get to just close the account after you done made all this money and you don't pay none of it. You don't pay none of it back. You have no obligation whatsoever. You disloyal, okay? For this, we're going to check checkings or savings account. Once you do that, another set of options, okay, opens down here. Let's just go a checking account, debit card, ATM card, checks. Let me see other banking product. Let me see what it type of banking product or service. That's a good. Let's see. Does this say personal? It does not say personal account. Okay, hold 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna do a little bit of research and then I'm gonna be right back. Okay, because I didn't see this one before. So hold on 1 second. Okay, all right. So before I was going to instruct you guys to select this option here because I hadn't touched this one or that one. I hadn't touched those. But after thinking about it, this does not clearly state, okay, the nature of your account. It just says a checking account. But what kind of business accounts are checking accounts? You understand? So I'm going to say select other, and here you're going to enter a personal account. Okay, that better identifies what type of banking product or service, okay, that you have. Okay. All right. What type of problems are you having? Most of the other banking products or service complaints we get are about one of the following topics. Select the one that best describes your complaint. You will have the chance to explain your complaint in detail in the next step. Was opening the account um, a problem? Managing an account? Deposits, withdrawals using ATM card, making or receiving payments or cashing a check? Excuse me, guys, closing an account, problem caused by your funds being low, overdraft or other fees, problems with a lender or other company charging your account, problem with a credit report or a credit score. Okay? Which do you guys think is the best option before I select it? I'm gonna wait a couple of seconds. Which option do you think is most appropriate for our complaint? Okay. Managing an account. All right. Okay. Deposits and withdrawals. Access deposited funds, account freezes, garnishments, transaction holds, problem making or receiving payments, bill pay, mobile or online payments, bank offsets, transaction holds, banking errors, interest rate calculations, errors, crediting account, hmm, cashing a check, fee problem, problem accessing account, okay, funds not handled or dispersed as instructed. Damn, a couple of these kind of fit. Problem using a debit or ATM card. Ooh, a couple of these. Problems making or receiving payments. Oh gosh, I'm freaking torn. And then this one too, errors crediting account. These three. But if I have to choose, okay, it's this one. Problems making or receiving payments. You're trying to receive a payment. That's what you're trying to do by transferring these credits. Okay. Now, what you can do, since I'm openly saying to you that this option here, problems making or receiving payments, funds not handled or dispersed as instructed, banking errors, okay, all three of these are good options. You can add to your letter or you can ask the CFPB the question, okay, based upon the information that I have provided. I am unsure which of these best suits um, my complaint or situation. Can the CFPB provide any insight or advice, okay, on which option best fits this complaint in case of future complaints, okay? So I'm just like paraphrasing. I'm shooting off the top of my head a question that you can ask the CFPB, okay? If there was a better option for me to select, is there an option that you advise if that is permissible? In some cases, they may not be able to provide you advice, okay? And they'll tell you, like, we can't do that. And that's okay, but at least you ask the question, okay? Have you already tried to fix the problem with this company? Yep. Did they give you any notice before they shut down your account? Nope. Did you request information from the company? Yep. What information did you request? See how they tell you it's optional? I won't answer that since it's optional. Did the company provide this information? Nope. Okay. Go to next. All right. Now they want to know, describe what happened. Well, I didn't did 90% of the work for you already because you got the letter. So you're going to paste the letter here in the body right here. However, the what would be a fair resolution? You want to copy that portion. Let me see so I can show it to you, okay? This portion of the letter, given these issues a fair resolution to the following steps, you would copy that, okay? And you would enter that into this portion, okay? What do you want? Not this portion, sorry guys, this portion. All right, what type of resolution are you searching for? Okay, this is what I want. And you can like separate it to make it restoration, okay? To make it clean. Let's see. We can, all right. If I suffered, okay, you want to change this, okay? This is what I'm saying, like reread. If I suffered, no, you suffered financial losses. Do you understand? You suffered, okay? I have suffered financial losses in the due to the termination of this account. So you want to modify this part where it says compensation. Okay, I might go in and do it. I might not because I'm tired of spoon feeding y'all everything. Okay, and so adjustment of account. Okay, and you want an investigation. Okay, and so once you post, oh gosh, that hurts. So once you, I'm sorry, all my quads. I did legs today. Ugh, and my quads is killing me. Okay, sorry. Okay, so select a file to attach. Okay, and so what you would want to do, maybe you want to take a copy of your coupon front and back. Okay, um, take a copy of your coupon front and back. Okay, this was, you can put please see attachment at the bottom of your letter. Okay, attached is a copy of the coupon portion that I assigned to my account so that a payment on the utility account could be satisfied. You don't have to tell who gets paid. Okay, you were trying to satisfy a payment by doing this transaction. Okay, and the ABC credit union is obstructing you from doing that. Okay, number steps 4 and 5 is just asking you like, hey, what's your name, where do you live, okay, how can we reach you, what's your email, and all that other stuff. Okay, so this is just the majority, this is the majority of it. The next 2 steps are pretty, it's pretty smooth. Okay, uh so that's it. I'm not going to go any further than step 3. All right. Now, before I close out, this video has taken up a large portion of my time. Okay, let me see. It's almost 2 a.m. Okay. I'm going to pause, okay, because I'm going to get the I'm going to get the video for you that I saw. And in this video, I think it's a great closing because it says so much about how deceptive these companies are. And when I'm talking to you guys, I'm trying to motivate you. Some of you, I'm trying to piss you off so bad that you do something. Okay? I'm trying to motivate you. Piss you off is the same as motivating you in the military. Okay? In the military, pissing you off is the same as motivating you. So I'm trying to recreate that. I'm trying to piss you off. I want to motivate you, okay, to work to understand. Okay? Work to understand. All right. But in this video, okay, I want you to listen to, I don't know if I showed this video before. I remember doing a recording including this video. I don't know if I released it, y'all. I got so many recordings that I have not released. But this recording was this guy, Josh Hawley. I don't know, he's an actor, okay? He's an actor that works in Congress. All of those people are actors if you don't know. Okay, so he is an actor and he is talking to the chain of command over at Amazon. Okay, and he is asking the chain of command, why are you using language that confuses drivers? Okay, you're using language that confuses the nature of your relationship to the drivers at Amazon. And as a result, your behavior, okay, the amount of control that you exert over Amazon drivers, okay, is concerning. And I want you to think of Amazon. Think of Amazon. Just take Amazon as an example. Okay, now think of the words that I told you. They call you customer, they call you citizen, they call you resident, they make all these names for you. Okay, the reason why making these different names is bad because it confuses your identity. Okay, it obscures the true nature of your relationship, okay, to that company or corporation. Okay, when they play in identities like this by playing on the names, you understand? So I'm going to play that video. After that video has completed, okay, this video is done. It has been a pleasure talking to you guys, but I'm about to shower and go to bed. So hold on one second. I'm going to get that video for you. You're going to listen to the video. You stuck with me all this time. You might as well hang on another 2 minutes, okay? And listen to what he's saying and replay it a few times. Play it over so it can stick, okay? So hold on. Okay, you guys, I have found the video. It's about 6 minutes, but I don't need to play 6 minutes. I need to play about 2 minutes of it for you to understand what I am saying, okay? Hopefully, Josh can help you, okay? Hold on, listen.
Senator Hawley, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks to Senator Lee for calling this hearing. Thanks to the witnesses. Professor Newman, let me ask you just a question or two about Amazon. You're aware of Amazon's use of independent contractors, I bet. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's fair.
Amazon calls their delivery service partner program, or they should say they call their independent contractors their delivery service partner program, or DSPs. Does that sound, are you familiar with this, broadly speaking?
Yes.
So these, as I understand it, this delivery service program employs about 300,000 people. And according to Amazon, none of these 300,000 people, their delivery service partner, so-called, actually work for Amazon, which is convenient because in reality, Amazon exercises enormous control over these delivery service partners. They control their contracts. They control every aspect of their business. They tell their these partners, these independent contractors, which vendors to use, which routes to follow, you name it. They even monitor the performance of individual drivers. And in some cases, Amazon, unilaterally fire the driver. So my question is, does that really sound like and your understanding of the law, does that really sound like a classic independent contractor? If the parent company is exercising that degree of control over the vendors, over the individual drivers, does that sound like a truly independent relationship to you?
Well, not being a labor law expert, I'll give you my antitrust opinion. That does not sound like a traditional relationship. No.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it to me either, but it does.